Update: am I wrong for divorcing my ex-wife over kids and now refusing to be a part of her son's life? Original post: I want to preface this by saying that I have no intentions of getting back with my ex, and I'm in a very happy relationship with my now fiancé. And I'm sorry this is long. I just wanted to add all the context in, and I'm not the best with words. I, 46 male, married my ex-wife, 45 female, when we were 26 and 25 respectively. At that time, we were both on the fence about having kids. I knew since college that I wanted to retire early, and my dream of having financial freedom was what really made me realize that kids didn't fit into the life I wanted. I was trying to find the right time to talk with her about it, but over the next few weeks, she started dropping hints that she wanted kids. She started showing me photos of her friends' kids, commenting on our nieces and nephews, joking about her getting or being pregnant. That one freaked me out, and even bought me a book on the joys of fatherhood that she thought I'd find interesting. I sat her down and asked if she wanted kids, and she admitted that over the years, she had grown to want a family. We had a conversation about it, and I realized that neither one of us was going to change our minds. I didn't want to keep her from what she wanted in life, so I brought up divorce. She really didn't want to divorce and kept trying to get me to want kids, but I stuck to what I wanted and we ended up separating. I obviously still loved her, but that's why I wanted to divorce. We were still young, and she could find someone to have the family she wanted with. I didn't want her to resent me for forcing my life choices onto her. Even after I filed for divorce, she still didn't agree with me and dragged it out as long as she could. So the divorce took almost 2 years. I dated over the years, but never really found someone that I could see myself sharing the rest of my life with, until I met my now fiancé 4 years ago. Apparently, my ex-wife struggled with dating as well and hasn't remarried yet. She has a son, now 11, but the kid's dad isn't in the picture. She recently reached out to me and asked if we could meet to catch up. I talked with my fiancé about it, and she thought it'd be a great way to clear up any bad blood between us, so I agreed to meet up with her for coffee. Things seemed to be going well until she brought up her son. She asked me if I was willing to be a part of his life as a masculine influence, and I told her I was glad that she was able to have a child, but that it still wasn't something I was interested in. She tried to change my mind by saying that we could be a family again. She kept trying to convince me, and I kept trying to change the subject. I admit I got frustrated because things weren't going as I hoped they would, and I told her that I was happy with my fiancé and that I was not interested in her. She started to insult my fiancé, so I left. I thought what happened was crazy. When I agreed to meet with her, it never even occurred to me that she might want to get back together. Considering how long it's been and, I'm not single, she kept messaging me, so I blocked her, and I don't plan on talking with her again. I was talking with my sister and her husband about it, and they said that while I'm totally right for rejecting her now, it was an a-hole move on my part to divorce her in the first place, and that I'm now being an a-hole again by not being a part of her kid's life. They both agreed that my ex was right for wanting to work it out. They said it's my fault that her child doesn't have a father, and that if I had given having kids a chance, I would have changed my mind. I just don't agree that kids are something one should compromise on. I don't see how it's possible for it not to be a bad situation for everyone involved that breeds resentment. I don't know my ex's child at all, and I don't agree that it's my responsibility to step up just because his bio dad didn't. I asked some other friends and family, and they agreed with my sister. So now I'm not sure if what I did was wrong or not, and I was just wrongly justifying it to myself. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Damn, people give me headaches. So it is your fault that she has no father figure in her son's life because you divorced her before he was conceived with someone else? Because you didn't want kids? That makes perfect sense if you are a moron. It sounds like she is, as well as your sister and her husband. Not your wife, not your kid, not your life, not your problem. You should suggest that your brother-in-law fill the role as you go low contact with them and no contact with the ex. Oops, I forgot to say you are not wrong. You said exactly what I came to say. The mental gymnastics of OP being at fault for ex-wife getting knocked up by a deadbeat after he divorced her is staggering. Not the a-hole OP. Anyone who thinks that you should step up for the absentee dad is an a-hole. She wanted the child and got what she wanted, not what you wanted. If your brother-in-law thinks the kid should have a masculine influence, let him step up to the plate. It seems to me that since baby daddy bailed, she wants you back and not just for a role model. Stick to your guns. I'm about 98% sure about who the kid's father is. And if I'm right, then I don't really blame him. I obviously feel bad for the kid, but the daddy was, in my books, still a kid as well. The guy I think is the father is currently about 30, I think, but he was a recent high school graduate when my ex got pregnant. My ex and him got engaged, he moved away suddenly and nobody could get a hold of him. And then it came out that my ex was pregnant. He was in a trade apprenticeship program before he left, but I don't know where he is or how he's doing now. Not wrong. You did the right thing in divorcing over having very different expectations for your lives. If you divorced her over you not wanting kids, I can't understand why she would think that you would want to or be willing to fill a fatherly type role with the kid she did end up having with someone else. Your sister and brother-in-law are nuts. Kids are not something to compromise on. They are a 2 yes, 1 no situation. She used my social media posts of me with mine and my fiancé's nieces and nephews as proof that I wasn't against kids. I like kids, I just don't want any of my own. She thought I had changed my mind about kids because of the posts and said I was being a hypocrite by refusing to be in her son's life the way I was in my nieces and nephews' lives. Now for the update. My ex-wife somehow got a hold of my fiancé's phone number. She contacted her yesterday and made false accusations that I cheated on her when we met up for coffee. Obviously, my fiancé didn't believe her and just blocked her number. This morning, my sister showed up uninvited to my fiancé's house with her kids, demanding to talk. We don't live together, and I was not there. My fiancé originally wasn't going to let them in, but my sister sat on her porch and refused to leave. It was cold and windy, and the kids didn't have coats on. Since it's not the kids' fault, she ended up giving in. She put on a show for the kids and made some coffee to prepare herself for whatever crap my sister was going to say. My sister started a whole spiel about how if she, my fiancé, really cared about me and not just my money, then she would do what's best for me and leave. My sister claimed that since I'll always be connected to my ex, I will be forever unhappy if I'm with anyone else. Apparently, if my fiancé doesn't leave me, it's proof that she's only with me for my money, and that it's obvious that my ex and our child, which, WTF, it's not my kid, would actually use the money in a godly way. My fiancé laughed in my sister's face and just stared at her until she left. My fiancé and I are both a little confused by what she said. 1. I am better off financially than my fiancé, but not by that much. 2. I'm also not religious, so even if I did get back with my ex, me and my money would still not be godly. 3. We know she's crazy, but again, why did she think her plan would do anything? After my sister left, my fiancé called me and told me what happened. I called my sister to tell her, 1. To leave my fiancé alone, and 2. That she was crazy and delusional. She defended herself by saying that she knew what was best for me and was just protecting me from going through with the wedding, since my fiancé was obviously taking advantage of me, and that since I'm under her spell, I can't protect myself. I again told her she was crazy and delusional and told her that I never wanted to hear from her or anyone who's siding with my ex again, and to please pass that message on. Every time a family member or friend messages me about it, which has been 6 just since this morning, I ask them what their thoughts on the matter are, and if they side with my ex or sister, I block them. Divorcing is somehow worse than single mom who didn't marry the baby daddy? Mental gymnastics gold to the entire lunatic family. She was still married to OP in her heart, you see. It was, only her vagina, ovaries, and uterus that strayed. Everyone knows those woman parts are just evil anyway. You can't count on those. She needed a baby, so if the fiancé wasn't going to help, she had to work it out on her own. But now she has a baby, that need is fulfilled, and she is free to go back to OP. No joke. I feel real bad for the baby's father. I bet he is dealing with some serious mental fallout from this woman. They said it's my fault that her child doesn't have a father. Sis and brother-in-law did some serious mental gymnastics to reach that conclusion. Glad OP is no contact with them. Based off the age of the person OP thinks is the father of that kid, OP's ex got pregnant when she was 34 by a 19-year-old. Ew. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex that I adopted a child? I, 38 female, have been single for 6 years. Though never married, my ex Eric, 41 male, and I share a 4-year-old son, Bryson. We broke up shortly after Bry's 3rd birthday, but we're hoping to get back together. I got pregnant thereafter, but unfortunately miscarried. I wanted to salvage whatever I thought we had left, but Eric decided to move on. He is now married, and he and his wife have a daughter with another child on the way. Since our breakup, I haven't seriously dated, but I've always wanted another child. With that, I secretly started the adoption process a year and a half ago, and now I'm the proud mother to a beautiful baby girl. I never told Eric about this because he once told me, in no uncertain terms, that our relationship only extended to our son. The adoption process was long but very personal for me. I only told my mom and best friend, who were largely supportive, though realistic about the challenges of being a single mom to 2 kids. However, when Eric found out about my daughter from our son, he was angry. He said that finding out that I adopted through Bry was childish, and that he should have been the first person to know, since adding a baby to my household could affect our son. He said we owed it to Bry for the 2 of us to have a sit-down conversation with him about this. I informed Eric that I had already had a conversation with Bry and that he was excited about his little sister. I also told him that what he was proposing would have been awkward, since he and I are no longer together, and he's not my daughter's father. He then got angry and said that, as a single mother, Bryson's lifestyle shouldn't change because of a new baby, even though he and his wife now have children of their own. For context, I make close to $80,000 before taxes, not including child support. I let Eric know that I am more than financially stable to care for 2 children, and was honoring his wishes that we only focus on Bryson, but he still called me selfish and accused me of holding a grudge. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add. I'm truly sorry for any confusion, but I wanted to update the post to provide clarity on the timelines. My ex and I broke up in 2019, right before the start of the pandemic. We were not together when we had our son, but we're still having sex. Bryson is 4. He was born in 2021. I miscarried in 2023, and by late summer, early fall, Eric started seeing his now wife. They married just last year in 2024. Their daughter is 7 months old, and she's pregnant again. I don't know how far along she is. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Does he notify you of any pending things, like pregnancies, that would affect your son? Not at all. He and his family are moving from our home state to Tennessee, and my ex never asked how I felt about this, since Tennessee is a state away, and either he or I would have to possibly drive to drop our son off or pick him up. It was his wife who has been more considerate when asking about travel arrangements, to be honest. He moved on, got married, and had more kids without consulting you. Why should you have to inform him about her personal decisions? As long as Bryson is happy and taken care of, that's all that matters. Not the a-hole. They call them exes for a reason. You don't have to tell him anything at all, other than what the schedule for pickup of your son is. When he moved on, he gave up his rights to be involved in your life, except where your son is involved. Last story. Am I wrong for going no contact with my wife after finding her online dating profiles? I, 37 male, and my wife, 37 female, have been in a long-distance marriage due to her work for the last 1.5 years. We have 2 kids, 7 and 4 years old, who live with me. My work and the kids' school situation did not allow for us to relocate with her. We see each other on average every 2.5 months and initially talked every day, video chatted with the kids. Our main goal was to build up our savings, as we also looked for better paying work in the same city, and for her to build enough experience for her resume as she had been out of work since we started having kids. The job opportunity was very good for that. Unfortunately, with each visit, her behavior had been setting off my alarm bells, and this month I discovered her dating profiles when she visited. This visit was particularly shocking for me because, for the first time in our 9-year marriage, she did not want to be anywhere near me, was extremely paranoid and protective of her phone, avoided any time to talk about serious matters, or participate in any activities with the kids. She seemed distant and off, to the point that even the kids noticed. Earlier in the year, I had caught her in an emotional affair, and upon confrontation, I gave her the choice to go or stay. I wanted to work things out, start on a clean slate, but I would have been willing to let go amicably because of the kids. She chose to stay, and that was supposed to have been the end of that. I did some digging and got her phone when she was asleep and discovered that she was not only flirting with multiple men, but talking with her friends about incidents and encounters which she regrets and needs to move past, as well as confessing that she is not putting effort into our marriage. The dating profiles are what set me off. I immediately screenshotted and sent to myself as much as I could in the short time I had the phone, and played it cool until I dropped her off at the airport. When she was airborne, I sent her a WhatsApp message with the screenshots, telling her I knew and wishing her good luck in her new life. I sent the same to her siblings and close mutual friends and proceeded to block all but a few. I asked them to tell her older sister I will provide them access to the children as required, but to consider me out of their lives. The kids have not noticed any change. They had kind of moved on from their mom not being around, and I am going through the motions wondering if I overreacted, or if I was a bad husband, or if I was wrong for just ghosting after all this. I am still so angry, feeling betrayed, and cannot even stomach a conversation with her. Yet I have had her in my life since I was in my early 20s. Am I wrong? You're not wrong. You should seek legal counsel and get a divorce. Hope you're doing well. If you're in the US, any debt she incurs while married to you is half yours, so get your legal divorce ASAP. You may have a good argument that they are separated, depends a lot on the state. In particular, being separated over a year with her having the intent to leave her affairs may not even be considered adultery. This woman gave up on you. She did that every time she made a profile, went on a date, or started something with someone else. Just leave, man. Find someone who respects you and your kids. These guys were fools for thinking a long-distance relationship with a 4- and 7-year-old was feasible. I never would have signed off on that. What? I definitely would expect my wife to uphold the vows that were exchanged. Guess I'm old-fashioned and would expect loyalty. Whether someone stayed faithful or not, I would not have signed off on a long-distance relationship with small kids. Insane. Obviously, the extra money was not worth it. It's pretty normal for many families around the world. In my own family, I have a truck driver who'd go for months abroad. Now it's what, 30 years of marriage? Kids and first grandchild? Any immigrant relationship too. Husband going to new country to settle, and wife joining in. And with letters only, no messenger and no video calls. Or military or business people. But of course, you'll hear more about the failed relationships than successful ones. You can cheat at home, I assure you.